I'm a comedian.
But I'm not feeling really funny lately.
You're way too young to be this defeated. You're just cynical as shit. You're morose even. 2 Jaeger bombs, please.
Jaeger bomb.
Boom.
Hola amigos de Película, hoy estoy acompañada de un gran director, Matt Ratner. Su última película, Standing Up, Falling Down, con Billy Crystal y Ben Schwartz, es todo un éxito y por supuesto nos va a contar mucho más de esta cinta. Hi Matt, how are you?
Very good, how are you?
Great, it's really nice to talk to you about this movie because we all have our own share of failures and disappointments through our lives. In this movie, we see a lot of that. What's the secret of not being afraid to fall?
It's a good question. So some of us, I think, have more failures than others. I definitely try and take whatever lessons I can from the failures and let them inform the successes. And I think it's just picking yourself up off the mat and knowing that everyone really does go through so many of the same struggles. And that's part of what, hopefully will let this film connect with people, is understanding that, you're not alone, that everyone goes through struggles in their own way.
Working with Ben Schwartz and Billy Crystal, oh my God, how did they come along for the movie?
It's definitely a case of you'd rather be lucky than good. So much of the film is about the chemistry between the two of them. And obviously I was very familiar with their work and respected them, but you can't really test on a film like this. You don't have the luxury of being able to test that chemistry. And Billy came on board first. And so then it was really about, who can you pair with Billy where they're going to be able to have that shorthand. And they actually didn't know each other prior to filming. I think they met once in LA, and they've become incredibly close friends, on and off camera. So it was really neat to see the relationship mirror itself.
Marty and Scott are two very different men, but they lifted each other up and learned from each other in a very crucial moment of their lives. In your life, what person or persons reflect this type of relationship?
It's funny, one of the producers on the film, actually, a colleague of mine by the name of Rick Rosenthal, who I met on the first film I ever produced. I sort of fell into it. I'd been living a very different life, living in Washington, D.C., working in politics and government, mercifully not at the moment. And I went to LA and met Rick. Rick's, I don't know, probably 70, and has been at it for a really long time. And the wonders of independent filmmaking, we lived in this sort of not glamorous sublet in Brooklyn during the filming of the first movie I produced, became incredibly close. And he's this sort of quasi father, brother, colleague. And so having him as a resource, I think we've done 5 films together, and he's just become an incredibly dear friend, despite a pretty significant generational gap.
Wow, that's great. And this film also marks a very valuable life lesson. It makes you reflect on how not to be so hard on yourself, how everything changes, and that to understand that it's okay. Can you share your favorite moment on set?
Sure. It's hard to pick just one. No, and it's a lesson that I made a whole movie about the nature of regret and not letting it paralyze you, and I still fall victim to it. So I think it's hopefully something that's evergreen. There were so many really fun moments, and just I believe that there are good films that come from really difficult sets, and there are lots of really harmonious sets that yield bad film. It's just a lot better when you can have both. Life's too short, and I try and really just surround myself with good people. The one moment was when we were shooting the scene on the porch with a child actor, and it's a very intense emotional scene, and the child actor has to come to the door at a certain point in the scene, and he was having trouble doing it. He was tired, or who knows. And we just could not. All my producers were trying. One of my producers, really good kids, she's literally like on the floor trying to wave her arms, trying to get this kid to pay attention. The last thing we wanted her to do was take Billy out of the scene. Finally, it's just not working. So Billy goes inside and he starts talking to the kid, right? And he starts talking about Monsters, Inc. And he says, do you like Monsters, Inc.? And the kid says, yes, sure. He's like, do you know who Mike is? Billy's character in Monsters, Inc. And I pull up a picture of Mike Wazowski on my phone, and then Billy starts doing the voice. And in the Mike Wazowski voice says to the kid, Mike would really like it if you'd come to the door when the nice lady tells you to. He's going through the little thing, and then he gets to the end of it, he's like, "You like Mike, don't you?" And without missing a beat, this kid looks up at Billy Crystal and goes, "I like the blue guy better."
Oh my God, that's a great anecdote.
That was a fun one.
Thank you, Matt, for your time. I enjoy your movie so much. Thank you for being with us here at the Película, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks so much. Really appreciate it.